Hello, algebra students. Welcome to Chapter 2A, Equations, 2.2 guided notes, solving equations by multiplying or dividing. Our essential question is still the same, that I can solve one-step equations with one variable. In this situation, though, we are working towards solving with multiplication and division instead of addition and subtraction. Let's dive right on into example number 1. Okay. Just a refresher that these lines here, when we have a variable with our fraction bars, also mean division at the same time as well. Okay. If you want to write it out, you can write it out a little bit differently. If you want to do p divided by -3, it gets a little bit messier, but you can still make that work as well. I'll just show both ways just for this first one, and then I'll choose one way from there on out. So remember that I always need to do the opposite function that is happening. Again, here I have division, so instead of division, I need to do multiplication. I'm going to multiply by -3, multiply by -3. That means this is canceling out, okay? Or giving me 0. What I do to one side of the equal sign, I always have to do to the other, so I need to also multiply by -3 on both sides here. When I have two negatives multiplied by each other, whenever I have a negative and a negative, it's going to give me a positive. So I don't have to worry about these negative signs. I know that it's going to give me a positive number. And I can simply do 12 times 3, which gives me 36 in both equations. So I'm left with p equals 36. That's showing you both ways of doing it, of keeping it with the fraction bar or rewriting it as division. We're going to keep it as the fraction bar from here on out. I just want to make sure that we have continuity in the same method of solving each equation. So let's go down to the second one in example 1. I have m divided by 5 equals -1.5. Now I still need to isolate my variable, which is m. I'm going to rewrite it just so it's a little bit larger here. Oh, -1.5. Sorry about that. -1.5. So I need to do the opposite of division here, which is multiplication. I'm going to multiply both sides. If you want, you can take out your calculator here or use your computer, however you so choose. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to do negative, I'm going to do 1.5, which is a -1.5, times that by 5, and I end up with -7.5, or m equals -7.5. You're welcome to use your calculator on your Chromebook as well. There's some calculators online. This is just the calculator that I'm going to be using for our notes currently. Let's go down to example number 2. I have some multiplication this time in the first part, so I'm going to have to do the opposite of multiplication, which gives me division. So I have 9x equals 72. So I have multiplication happening here just when our variable is next to a number that is implying that we are multiplying. So the opposite of multiplying is division. So I'm going to divide each one by 9. This side cancels out, so I'm left with just x. I'm a smart cookie, and I know that 72 divided by 9 gives me 8. Okay. Sometimes I'm going to have negative numbers or decimals that are also going to have to divide by. Okay. So I have 14 equals -7/10 times y. So I'm going to have to do some division here with negatives. That's okay. I'm having a positive divided by a negative, which is going to give me a negative right off the bat. These are going to cancel out. When I'm doing to one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other. You can take your calculator here. I have 14 divided by -0.7 or 7/10. I end up with -20, or y equals -20. Let's go to example number 3. Some of these are getting into two-step equations. We're still going to work on them. I know that it said one step, but these are just in addition to that. So let's keep on plugging away. I have 10r. 10 times r divided by 2 equals 20. What I'm first going to do is get rid of the division. So I'm going to times each side by 2. What I do to one side, I have to do the other. That cancels out. I'm left with 10 times r equals 20 times 2. Gives me 40. I'm going to rewrite it up here just so I have a little bit more room. What I have to do now is I have 10 times r, so I have to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So I have to divide each side by 10. These cancel out. I'm left with r equals 40 divided by 10 gives me 4, or r equals 4. Going down to the next one in example 3, I have 3k divided by 4 equals 6. So I'm going to get rid of that division right off the bat here so I don't have to worry about fractions. I'm going to multiply each side by 4. That ends up with 3k equals 6 times 4 is 24. 3k equals 24. I'm going to divide each side by 3. Cancels this out because I had 3 times k equals 24. Opposite of multiplication is division. So k equals 24 divided by 3. I know that 3 times 8 gives me 24. So 24 divided by 3 is going to give me 8. Flip to the next page of your notes for example 4. Okay. This is a mileage application. This is a real world application that you can use in your car, your snowmobile, your ATV, whatever it may be, that's going to be happening in your real life. Okay. So let's read through this. The number of miles a car has been driven divided by gallons of gasoline used equals the gas mileage. So let's make sure that we have this down first. The number of miles a car has driven. So we're going to use M for miles. Divided by the gallons of gasoline used. So we're going to use G for gallons. And then that's equal to the number of miles you can drive, or miles per gallon. Or the number of miles you can drive a car. Sorry about that. Sorry, where am I at here? The number of miles you can drive a car using a gallon of gas. Okay. If Jamie's car has a gas mileage of 34 miles per gallon and a fuel tank capacity of 14 gallons, we need to write and solve an equation to find out how many miles she can travel on one tank of gas. So this is going to be, again, miles divided by gallons equals miles per gallon that we're going to try to find. Okay. We know that she has a gas mileage of 34 miles per gallon. So we're going to write that here in place of miles per gallon. We're going to have MPG be for miles per gallon. You'll see that in a lot of common places. If you're buying a car, you'll see it listed as MPG. So we know that that's going to be 34. We know that she also has a 14-gallon tank. So we're going to have to solve for M now. Again, we're going to rewrite this just to make sure it looks nice and neat. We need to find out how many miles she can go on a 14-gallon tank if she gets 34 miles to the gallon. So I have M divided by 14 equals 34. I need to do the opposite of division here, which means that it's multiplication. I need to multiply each side here. These cancel out. I'm going to bring that equal sign down. I'm left with just M on this side. I have 34 divided by 14. Let's do it the long way here. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. I add my 0 since I'm moving to the tens place. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3. And now I add them. 6, 7, 4, 476. I'll show you here on the calculator as well. 34 times 14 gives me 34 times 14 gives me 476 M. And now what does M stand for again? We have to make sure that we are labeling this correctly. We have 476 miles. So, a summary for this I can statement that we have here of I can solve one-step equations with one variable. In order to solve equations for a variable, what is your goal and what concepts do you need to remember in order to accomplish this? I need you to answer this question for yourself in this space here. That's a part of the notes that I need completed for you to receive credit as well. So make sure you're doing this on your own. Also, make sure that you're completing these practice problems that go with this. If you have any questions, make sure you jump back on the Google Meets or send me an email if you need additional help. Thank you.